What you got there?
No, it's my WGA questionnaire.
WGA?
Yeah, I know we are in a pocket dimension tenuously attached to the UK, but I'm guessing they must have spies everywhere.
But... okay.
See, if I don't fill this in, then I can't apply for my Jedi training.
Jedi training? Oh, that sounds awesome!
No, it's really not.
What you got there?
No, it's my WGA questionnaire.
WGA?
Yeah, I know we are in a pocket dimension tenuously attached to the UK, but I'm guessing they must have spies everywhere.
But... okay.
See, if I don't fill this in, then I can't apply for my Jedi training.
Jedi training? Oh, that sounds awesome!
No, it's really not.
Maybe movie.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to Maybe Movies for... oh shit, I've forgotten. What's it called? Oh yeah, American Psycho.
No. Groundhog Psycho.
He's going to do the introduction this time.
Hi, folks. I'm Sam. Welcome back to Maybe Movies. This time, we'll be looking at our new fictional movie, Groundhog Psycho.
That sees us, as the name suggests, mash into one amorphous blob, Groundhog Day and American Psycho. We are total professionals.
This was my idea, wasn't it?
I know this was a collaboration, wasn't it? I'd said we should do Groundhog Day, but I didn't know what to put it with, and then you said American Psycho.
Yes, I know, so that makes it my idea. It's my fault.
Fair enough. If you want to take responsibility, I'm good with that.
I think I have to take responsibility for this one. Mm-hmm. Oh, boy.
If this isn't your first time here, welcome back. If it is, hello. As I said, or as Sam quite accurately said, we are Maybe Movies. We are a pair of actors and writers and general movie buffs.
Something like that.
Yes. Who just like asking ourselves, what if?
Oh, what if indeed? That's the best question.
Yes. No prevarication, or no more prevarication. Apart from one thing which I discovered, which I didn't know before. Groundhog Day.
Yes.
The bridegroom.
Yes.
That he helps make sure gets married.
Yeah.
It's Michael Shannon.
Oh, you are shitting me.
No.
Guess he's got his back to the camera most of the time.
I know.
Or he's only partially in profile. I never...
Yeah.
No.
I exist only to protect Krypton.
Who is this imbecile?
Oh, well, there you go. From humble beginnings.
Exactly.
Wait.
How are we going to start?
Before we delve into the inevitable insanity, do we have a shout-out for anyone?
Oh, we'll do that as we go.
As we go. Okay,
yeah,
cool.
Yeah. So just because you have put a pin in that bit there, just for those of you who have not seen the show before, at the end of this, we will say whether or not we think it's a maybe, that what we've created is a viable maybe movie that were the movie gods to grant us a wish that we could go and see it in the cinema. What we do now as well is that once we've cast our votes in the episode, we then open it up to you guys to have your say. So I'll talk a bit more about that at the end. But basically, yeah, you can say yes or no, whether or not it's a maybe movie, and then at the beginning of next month, we'll let you know the results of our poll.
Indeed. So please, keep yourselves appraised of all of our current
Shenanigans.
Postings,
Exactly.
Instagrams, and all sorts of things. Right, well, first of all, there's a question we have to answer. We didn't ask in the pitch meet. Are we looking to redeem Patrick Bateman? Because I kind of think we want to answer that question before we get started.
That's cool. Because I'm going to have one to throw back at you as well once we have.
Okay. Yeah.
I don't know.
I'm not saying I think we should. I'm just going, are we? Because there are two different ways this movie could go, depending on whether we're looking at a redemption arc or whether we're looking...
Well, actually, that question does tie into my question, and I'm really sorry. So, again...
Something more Dante-esque, perhaps.
Well, do you remember... Spoiler notification in the corner here throughout the entirety of this, so I do apologise. And it's not something I personally agree with, but the other question we have to answer is it all in his head?
I think for the sake of the movie, surely it can't be, or at least... it can't be known.
Yeah. See, because that's, I get that, and I know Bret Easton Ellis said that it is, but the book is there's stuff in the book that can't be in his head.
Yeah, I understand what you're saying. It's one of those things, especially if you're watching the movie for this, I saw it in the ending. It's very, very plausible that it really is just all in his head.
Well, it's either that, or I always like the idea that, because it's the line that Evelyn says about your father practically owns the company, that they've just been protecting him. That he's got handlers who clean up behind him. And I prefer that. I like that more.
Yeah.
But I was going to say, if we say that it is in his head, then maybe the out for him is to actually kill somebody.
Well, no, because we said...
But we said there's something that he's going to have to try and kill Phil.
Well, yeah, because Phil is the reason. Phil's the one who's in the loop. He's just become aware of it. So he's in his own personal little hell. But that's what I mean. Are we looking to redeem him? Or are we looking to have him be his incorrigible self and have that have...
Oh, what about this?
Some sort of consequence. I don't know.
There's another throwaway line in Act 1 of American Psycho when he's in the taxi with Evelyn. And she goes, why do you need that job and all this kind of thing? He says, because I want to fit in. So everything, his whole entire thing about this is putting up this mask of normality.
Yeah.
But he never feels it himself. So maybe that's the end of his arc, is that he feels like he's fitting, like he finally fits in.
I understand what you're saying, but that in no way answers my question.
How not? Because that would be the end of his arc, is that he finally gets that moment of inclusion.
Right, okay, so...
Because everything else is a facade.
Right, okay, so the answer to my question is, in fact, yes, we want to redeem him.
I mean, that's one way we can go. That would be the ultimate goal, if we decide to say yes. No, what do we think that would look like?
My take, I suppose, on things is that in American Psycho, Patrick is a guy who feels like there are no consequences for him. He keeps getting away with it for various reasons, but he feels limitless. So I suppose the other one would be a world where he acts as though things are limitless but discovers consequence.
I like that, because we could...
It does mean that people will die, though.
I kind of, yeah. Because again, that ties into what I was saying there about he's got handlers who are doing all of this for him, but once he's in Puxatawny, he doesn't have those people around him anymore.
No, he doesn't.
So
it's
he
just
has to
him
deal
and his friends.
so he has to deal with all of that shit himself.
Yeah.
I like that.
Okay, so irredeemable bastard it will be.
Yes.
Or irredeemable psychopath it will be.
My thoughts then with Act 1, because I know you said we want to keep this from Patrick's point of view, is I think we get a truncated version of the first act of American Psycho.
Yes, very truncated.
To fill in the bits where all the bit with Phil in Pittsburgh and stuff like that.
Yeah.
I know what I said last time is that Paul Allen is supposed to be going to Puxatawny, and so he goes in his place. I had an idea to kind of make that a bit more involved. And it's also a way that we can have a moment where we see Phil in this act.
Right, go on.
We drop in that he's supposed to be going to Punxsutawney to do this thing earlier in the act, in one of their meetings. But we incorporate his first interview with Willem Dafoe.
All right, okay. Yeah.
So
no, I think I see where you're going with this.
And obviously he's got the TV in his office, and we know that in Groundhog Day, Phil says, I'm leaving here because they've got somebody who's interested in giving me syndication.
Ah, right, yes.
So what we can feed off that and say that while he's having this interview while he's being interviewed by Willem Dafoe, he's got the TV on, weather program. Oh, and we've got star Philadelphia weatherman Phil Connors with us here to talk about the upcoming Groundhog Day. and I hear you're going to be going to Punxsutawney for the reveal this year. And again, just sardonically, it's like, well, yeah, because Punxsutawney's the place to be. Patrick hears that. It's a way of avoiding more confrontations with Willem Dafoe.
Right, yep.
That gives him the inspiration to take the job to get out of town.
Yeah, right, okay, yeah.
It's a little bit convoluted the way I described it, but I think you see what I mean.
Well, we had a much simpler setup before, where he'd just be sent there because he's in mergers and acquisitions and they're requiring something in Punxsutawney.
I just thought it would be a nice way of, again, including Phil.
Yes,
in
that could certainly
act.
be a part of that discussion.
But it's also because if we're doing this kind of Phil versus Patrick thing.
Oh, right. Okay,
if he's
so
stuck in that loop, then he can
maybe
blame
we
him.
start with he gets given the assignment, but he's like pushing against it. He doesn't want to do it. And then the interview happens with Defoe. And then you
get this moment. That works. Okay.
That works. Yeah, okay. Yeah, we can make that work. Yeah, okay.
Because at least that way then there's almost incitement, because when he gets stuck in it, when he realises that he's in this loop, part of it, he can, it really kind of stuck in his head, yes, I want to do this, when he saw Phil on screen. So he blames Phil.
Oh, I see. It gives him a point of fixation.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
So it's Lewis Carruthers, Courtney Rawlinson, that's Lewis's partner, and obviously Evelyn. Those four, did we want to take Tim Bryce, I think it is? Just go with the slick back hair.
Yeah. I mean, on one hand, he's part of his entourage, and I kind of want to bring him because it's that clash of the New York world with the Punxsutawney crowd.
Okay.
But at the same time, I might just be padding things out too much. We might have too many extra characters.
Well, I mean, there's no...
I mean, on one hand, Bryce would egg him on.
And also because he's a big cokehead. He adds an extra destructive element into the story.
Exactly. But at the same time, that's 5 extra characters we're adding to the story. That's
a lot. I mean,
whereas the dynamic for the 4 makes sense.
Because I was at one point wondering if we need, well, not that we didn't need Evelyn, but just would she want to be away from the New York scene for that long?
Oh, I expect lots of her whining and complaining about
going looking for a pot-bellied pig.
Yeah. So that sets them up. That gets them to Punxsutawney.
Do we still want to have it again? I know this will be early on in Act 1. Do we still get the death of Paul Allen?
Yes. Yes, we need that because it's the inciting incident.
I did also think, again, just as a way of tying these together, he doesn't have a name. Apparently the actor's name is Ken Hudson Campbell, who's the guy in the hallway that Phil meets every morning.
Oh, right, yes.
Yeah. I was going to say, he looks like a businessman. Maybe that's the guy that they're supposed to go and meet.
Could be, yeah, it could be. Yeah, a nice tie-in. But the important thing is, we've got our setup here. We need to get them to Punxsutawney and into the loop.
Again, just to really kind of rub Patrick's rhubarb the wrong way.
Never rub another man's rhubarb.
They get to the hotel, but they haven't got a room for him. There's been a mix-up or something. I didn't know whether do we want Patrick staying at the guest house as well as Phil, or is that too convenient?
On one hand, it would drive him absolutely insane. And it would isolate him from the others, allow him to do stuff that they might see.
Yeah.
But then again, on the other hand, would he tolerate it? Or would he just cause a great big fucking scene in the middle of the hotel? You know what? It doesn't matter. Because if there isn't a room, there isn't a room, right?
Yeah.
So there's no room for him at the hotel. But, alright, we kind of have to do it because otherwise he has to take Evelyn with him.
So we are taking Bryce, or we're not? Sorry.
I thought we're
not.
We're not?
That's fine. I was certainly thinking, if they get there and there's only rooms for, say, 4 of them, the 2 couples will get the rooms, and it would be Bryce that would have to go to the thing. So another reason for not bringing him.
Yeah.
So they've got a double for Lewis and Courtney. They've only got a single. They offer to put a camp bed in the room for him, and he's like, no. Or you've got this option of... And yeah, you can almost have... Again, that moment where you think he's going to go, but obviously he's in a hotel lobby full of people.
Little glimpse into his mind when he thinks of what he wants to do to her and things like that.
Exactly, yeah. That bit when he leans in like he does with the barmaid, and so he says something, but he doesn't actually say it.
Yeah. So yes, it sounds like we're putting him in the B&B.
Fantastic.
Which is great, because then we get to put Phil in the background of all sorts of stuff.
Yes. And it could also be because he thinks himself as a big hotshot, he works on Wall Street. But when he gets to the guest house, here's this local weatherman getting the star treatment. Because they know, because he's in Philadelphia, in Pennsylvania, that everyone else knows who he is. They don't know who Bateman is.
Yeah, yes. Just gently grind into all of his petty jealousies and all the things that drive his psychosis.
So, do we want in Act 1 to have any meeting between the two of them, or not? They're just passing in ships passing in the night.
I think they should be ships passing in the night.
Yeah.
Like, the scene when Phil walks to go to the park to go to the thing, and he walks around the corner, and there's the old fella panhandling, and then he runs into Nate and things like that. We should have that scene, but with Patrick and his entourage walking around the corner. And so we would, like, that initial shot of him being harassed by, Phil being harassed by Ned just up the street.
Yes.
As they walk around the corner and and just generally show their disdain for people.
We should get then a moment where they stop and turn, because it's the bit where Phil puts his foot in the puddle.
Yeah.
And Ned laughs really loudly, so that draws their attention.
Exactly the sort of thing I was thinking of. Yeah. We need to know that we have Phil there.
Yes.
So when we do the switch, it's not too much of it's not a left field twist. It's just, we're shifting focus.
Time. Exactly. Yeah. Fantastic. Which also means then, probably for the first rotation, shall we say, you'll get Lewis and Patrick will go off to the meeting.
Yeah.
Evelyn and Courtney go to watch Groundhog Day.
Yes.
So we see that from their perspective.
Absolutely, yeah, and do what New Yorkers do. So we get to see them just being terrible people in rural Pennsylvania.
That's going to be absolutely brilliant, because every other rotation after this, every time if we're going to cut to them watching the thing, it's going to be slightly different for them.
Yes.
God, that's fantastic.
So the first day should be fairly normal, but say fairly normal, it's a bunch of New Yorkers being terrible yuppies and complaining about everything. And then rotation 1. So
what we're saying, just so we know, does the meeting go well? Does the meeting go badly? Is he upstaged? Because again, these are all Phil will feed things into his bloodlust. If he feels that he's been upstaged or anything like that, that in the same way like the whole thing with the business cards.
Oh right, okay. The meeting goes okay, but the guy that Phil keeps bumping into on the stairs is a bit of a bumpkin. And I don't mean that in a nasty way, but he's a Midwestern guy. He's got a slightly more slow and friendly way of doing business. And of course, Patrick's like, let's just do this and sign the contract.
Yeah.
And the guy's constantly, oh, by the way, did I tell you my wife does this? And, oh, thank you. And I think Patrick loses his temper. And yeah. I think the meeting doesn't go so well.
As you say, he loses his temper. It doesn't go so well. He has to leave, and Lewis has to smooth things over with him.
Yes. Yeah, because I might be wrong, but Lewis doesn't actually work for his company. He's like, he's a lawyer or something.
No, he does work for the company.
He does work for the company?
Yeah.
Oh, I got that confused. I thought he was like the son of the owner or something like that. No. I'm getting confused. Oh, those characters. Those characters. They are so interchangeable.
Again, which is why they mistake each other for each other all the time. Because they are literally just come off as an assembly line.
They really are just identical schmods. So, alright, so yeah, we're on second time round.
Second time round.
Patrick wakes up in a bad mood.
Yeah. Probably doesn't even pay attention to like the radio or things like that.
Probably not for the first bit of it.
No.
It's probably not until he goes out and meets them, and they start saying the same things, and he's like, are you fucking with me? Are you serious now? I don't have time for jokes.
Yeah. So there'll be that, and also, again, this kind of rural people, their life never changes and things like that, even though his never changes, and then he goes and he meets them at the hotel, or they meet him. We didn't say, does he go from the guest house to meet them at the hotel? Or they come and pick him up? Because we're going to be going over this once or twice. So he stops for coffee in the guest house and then goes to meet them for breakfast at the hotel.
Yes. Let's do it that way. I imagine he's like immediately like, what are you talking about? We did this yesterday. Look, this isn't funny anymore. We need to go home. I've had enough of this town. Or something like that. No. Where can I get a decent bagel?
Exactly.
That's more like it, really, isn't it?
We need to get back. I need to return some videotapes.
Of course, yeah. Then he's going to realise that everybody's gathering at, what is it, Gobbler's Knob or whatever it's called. We need to show that the day is repeating for him to understand that the day is repeating.
And again, from Evelyn and Courtney's point of view, everything is pretty much the same because they're too far away to hear what Phil is saying. Because I know he just says things slightly differently on the first one, doesn't he?
Alright, okay. We've got two ways this can go. We can have him being confused, or we can have him sort of believing this is some kind of ridiculously elaborate prank, and for him to accost someone, demanding that they stop pretending and...
I'm trying to think, who can he accost? Does it have to be anyone in particular, or...?
There either needs to be absolute confusion on his part, and we explain the rest of the day away by his confusion in trying to understand things, or we have him starting to bubble over already.
I think it's a bit too soon for him to bubble over already.
Are you sure?
No, yeah, because he does kill that old man quite quickly, doesn't he?
Also, we're not just telling his story, we're telling Phil's story, so we have to sort of think about time a little bit.
So instead of him getting angry in the meeting, it's his confusion that he gets asked to leave for. And he goes for a walk, and again, that's where he starts seeing everybody repeating everything that he saw them do before. So that would be the point where he accosts somebody. Because he's just been embarrassed in the meeting. Mm-hmm. So that would be a good point to have him stop somebody and... You need to stop all of this, you know.
I think my take is his ego would go that way.
Oh yeah, having fun with the big city boys, are you? Oh yeah, very funny, blah, 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 blah. Mm-hmm. What are you talking about? What are you talking about?
Yeah, exactly. Stop lying to me, you know, maybe, I don't know, we're not talking about him trying to kill someone, but like maybe punching someone or, you know, actually starting to boil over. In the original thing, the third repetition was the end of the first act, so we kind of need him ready to be Patrick Bateman by that point.
Yes. So it could
if
be...
that makes sense.
He tends to do most of his killing at night, doesn't he?
That kind of makes sense. Darkness, things like that. But that isn't necessarily relevant here because he's just stuck in 24 hours. We can't go over an extended period of behaviour. Although maybe the first time he does it at night.
I think he should kill someone now. We're well into the third act. Into the first act. I reckon I think he does go absolutely pull them down an alleyway or see somebody down an alleyway. And we get this scene and this guy's like, get off me, or whatever.
So should it be the old man?
Yeah, because it's not going to make any difference, is it?
It's not going to make any difference, but also it ties into Phil's story.
Yeah, so we'll do it that way. So
early the old on he's targeting the man. The old man is one of his primary targets.
Yeah. So the old man, he's confused by the whole thing. And just keeps asking him for a drink. Oh, I'll give you a drink. Shivs him and then just leaves him in the alleyway.
Yeah.
And then comes back out at the same time as he meets Lewis coming out. I've smoothed everything over. We're all good here. Let's go and get a drink. And probably, you need to calm down, Patrick.
Oh, very the stroking.
Touchy-feely,
yeah, very touchy-feely.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Feels like that's the first act?
Almost, because we've got one more rotation, because this is obviously for Phil, this is the moment where it ends with him realising he can do pretty much anything.
Well, that's kind of what I think is going to be like. On one hand, there's the frustration when he wakes up and he's walking down the street, he walks around the corner and the old man starts begging change from him again.
Exactly. Yes. First thing, yeah.
Yeah. But by the end of the day, he's going to realise, it doesn't matter. I can do anything.
So it's how he realises that, because obviously it's the guy in the car that says it to Phil. So how is he going to realise it?
So maybe Bryce is doing the strokey feely thing about him, but he's so... Carruthers. Lewis, sorry. Carruthers is calming him down and trying to touch him. And he finally snaps and says something about what's happening to him. And he says, I understand. We all wish we could live in a world without consequences. We'd never have to worry about the morning after.
Yeah. Oh, man. Look at that on. This is not good.
Yeah, so that kind of brings us to the end of the act, doesn't it? It does.
Off the back of that, at some point that evening, he kills Lewis. And then in the next rotation, he's back again. So
it's like, because in the film, it's Phil breaking the pencil. And the next morning, the pencil's back.
Yes.
That's his final test to prove that there are no consequences.
He does that. He kills Carruthers. Day starts over. He wakes up. He calls the hotel, and Lewis answers the phone.
And he's like,
yeah.
I'm in heaven.
Fantastic. End of act.
Right. I've just had a thought. Before we go any further, I need to give you a star.
Yes, you do. What for?
I was thinking back to the pitch meeting. You had the wonderful idea that it just completely hand-waved.
Oh, yes.
Having Patrick Bateman and his crew in Puxatawny itself. That was definitely a gold star, so please take that.
Thank you very much. Whew. I can't imagine a month where you don't get any. That would just be terrible.
Mastering terrible for you. What it bloody is now?
No, I was being very negligent there. That was my fault.
So, okay. Do we want just to have a very brief... or just a very loose sketch of the order of events for the day, because it's going to be happening over and over?
Yes, it's just another thing. I don't know if we should have introduced it in the first act or if we can introduce it now. One of Patrick's bugbears is never being able to get a dinner date at Dorsia. I feel like we should have one of the restaurants in town claimed to be the Dorsia of Pennsylvania.
That's nice.
You know, just another little thing to just add that notch of rage, especially when it's obviously not New York fair.
No,
you know,
exactly.
just like,
Exactly.
you called it, you're gonna have to die. Because I don't know if you noticed, but every time Dorsia get mentioned, somebody dies. It's a real bugbear for Patrick.
Yeah. That's true.
Real bugbear.
But yes, yeah, I like that.
It's
I thought
business cards and Dorsia are his two biggest bugbears that get people killed.
Because I didn't know whether you're going to say he's going to try and phone New York and get a reservation for 3 months' time or something, so he's finally got one. On one.
Oh yeah, that would be a nice, like somewhere in the middle when he's a bit desperate.
Yeah.
Or when he's trying to think of, like, I'm getting a bit bored of just killing people.
Yes.
You know, the different things he might do to occupy his time. Like the time when Phil steals the money and goes to the movies dressed up as Clint Eastwood and stuff like that, you know, does silly things.
Yeah, getting ahead of myself. So, first of all, it'll be wake up,
Yes.
coffee at guest house,
Yes.
breakfast at hotel.
Yes, but obviously we don't have to show this every time, but
No,
I know what you mean,
just
just
so
an
we've got
outline
it.
of the day.
Yeah.
Yeah, breakfast at the hotel.
So, walking the town,
Yeah.
meeting, which probably takes up most of the day.
Well, that can be a bit like Phil's speech at the beginning of the film. It doesn't have to take the same length every time.
No.
He might just punch the guys one time and walk out. You know, and it takes 5 minutes or whatever.
And then we never really kind of said what they're doing in the evening, probably.
Well, that's
the thing.
dealer's choice, and that's the way it is in Groundhog
It
Day
is
as well.
very much, yes,
the evenings are all different.
What about this? I was going to make a suggestion, because it's something else we hadn't really touched on, because we didn't need to until now. So no matter how many rotations he goes through, how many people he kills, he never kills Rita.
Okay.
I'm not sure where it's leading to.
I can accept that as a premise, but we need to stop and think about why.
The only thing I haven't got is why. I just thought it's a nice touch. It's like, because she's the constant for Phil, it's another point of connection.
You see, I was kind of thinking it the other way round, that like that would inevitably become one of the points of conflict between the two characters would be
That he keeps killing her.
Well, you know, obviously my imagining is that Phil notices him because he keeps killing the old man. And we know that Phil notices the old man once he starts his version of the redemption arc.
Yeah.
Well, this is one of the interesting things, actually, I wanted to say at the beginning, but I completely forgot. It's one of the interesting things about Rita is, even though Phil spends so many, like, I think they said he spends 1,000 years becoming good enough for Rita, she's an incredibly judgmental human being.
She is.
And
She really is.
Snap judgments on people as well. I mean, like, so she meets him briefly the day before, and he's flippant and sarcastic, and she instantly doesn't like him. But then the next day, repeatedly, he shows a different side of himself, and she's automatically suspicious of everything he does and says. She's an incredibly judgmental person. And I just thought that she could be somebody that might say something to Patrick, like, actually face him with a mirror to his own behaviour or something like that. And that she would eventually become his target. Not now, but I'm talking about the third act.
I like it.
Are you sure?
No, absolutely. No,
Oh,
it's a good
right,
idea.
okay.
It's you know, it adds your favourite thing.
Layers, baby. I love it.
It's a good job I like onions. The first thing I had down was at some point, but then again, there's
Well, so maybe at the beginning, he's not attacking her until he has a particular interaction with her. So maybe in the second act, she is exempt completely.
okay. We could possibly use that as our third act turn.
But we do still need a reason. Yeah, a third act turn would be nice.
Because I mean, as I had thought originally, well, there must be a rotation where Patrick
Because
just
then
goes
instead of
mad
it becoming
and
about
starts...
Phil being good enough for Rita, so I'm sorry, I was being very rude there.
It's okay.
I was being very rude. What were you saying?
Again, it wasn't really anything. All I was going to say was, my initial thought was that there must be a rotation where Patrick just goes all out and kills everybody, but I thought, no, he can't, because Phil would notice. Unless it's a rotation where Phil is off doing something else.
It could be one of Phil's suicides.
Of course, because he will have already... So I suppose that's another point. Then
Because we do know that the day continues after he dies, because this is the scene of Rita and Larry looking at his corpse in the morgue.
Of course.
So we know the day continues after he dies.
Yes.
So he could just die early that day.
Yeah.
Or it could be the day he goes out of town to go and spend all of his cash or whatever.
Say it's the one where he steps out in front of the in front of the lorry.
Yeah.
And then a bit later that day, Patrick's in a cafe or something, and said, "Oh, did you hear about that Phil Connors guy killed himself this morning?" That'd be one of the nights or one of the days where he's planning to go on a bit of a rampage, and goes, "Oh well, you know." there's more there's more to come, or something like that, or just some pithy remark, and then goes on a massive killing spree all through the night until he wakes up.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, if we're going to play into Patrick's worst nature, which is clearly what we're doing, there has to be at least one day when it's just a bloodbath.
Just had to kill a lot of people!
And there has to be another day when it ends in a heroic shootout and he gets blown away by the police because he's killed too many people, but they got cornered.
There would probably have to be another one as well, where it's just like, it's like a brothel in his bedroom.
Yeah.
But yeah, so we see, again, all of this, and coincide those, again, as you say, with the days where Phil kills himself.
Yeah.
So that we avoid plot holes for our audience.
So, obviously, we have to change the plot. No, we don't have to change the plot. I would like to change the plot, because I would like Phil to become aware of Patrick in Act 2.
I thought the same.
He doesn't have to go after Rita until Act 3, but we need Phil to become aware of him. In the original movie, the montage where he had the repeated attempts to save the old man was actually in the third act.
Yes.
So I'm suggesting maybe we move that forward.
That's probably better than what I've got, because my thought was that is... we could do it quite arbitrarily, where there's just a moment where they happen to be in the same place at the same time, haven't noticed each other. Somebody says something like, oh, well, it'll be another day tomorrow or something, and they both give the same answer. And then they just stop and look at each other.
Maybe I'm just being a little bit trite, but I kind of like the idea. We get through the thing and we're getting used to Patrick's thing, which is apparently just murdering people and hiring hookers and things like that, but generally being debauched in Pennsylvania. And then, at some point, we do the thing like we were doing in the first act, where Patrick and Phil are passing each other, but we just shift focus and the camera follows Phil halfway through so we start the day with Patrick, and then we end the day with Phil. And then when the day ends and Phil wakes up, we get a little sometime earlier. And then we get our little quick montage of the whole thing from Phil's point of view.
Oh, okay, so you want to do it that way?
Maybe 10 minutes max montage. Of Phil's version.
That's fantastic.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Oh, me!
No. As I said, you're on fire, man. I can't deny it.
Instead
it's visually stimulating. It's interesting. It's interesting cinematography.
Yeah.
Because especially if it's in a bit where we know that they were both in that scene for a while. Yeah. So it may take the audience a moment to catch on that they've switched focus. Yeah. It's lovely.
We get to go back to the first day when Phil walks around the corner and pats his pockets when the old fellow asks him for change, and then Ned comes up to him and distracts him for 5 minutes. And in the background, we just got Patrick and his assholes harassing the old man for begging for change and shit like that. So you get the reverse shot with everybody else in the background slightly out of focus.
Fantastic. I love it. That's really cool. What we're going to do, very quickly, I'm going to take this moment and we'll do a quick shout out.
Of course.
Seems about the right time. So yeah, this is for a group called Radical Changes. The channel used to be called Radical Productions, but they changed it sometime last year.
Well, that's another channel that's changed their name recently.
Exactly. But yes, this is a wonderful channel. Please do go and check it out. Give them some love. What they do is they try and...
We can't even blame that on spider fans. That's just noise.
Oh no.
What? No.
Hell's Angels spider fans.
Help us!
Getting back to the very serious message I was trying to deliver, Radical Changes. It's a wonderful group in America who try and highlight the lives of the homeless by interviewing them, getting them to give some little anecdotes, snippets from their lives, things like that. Videos are normally pretty short. They're 2-3 minutes long, and they'll maybe do a couple of videos with the same person, or come back and see how they're getting on a few months later, things like that. Fantastic channel. They do it really respectfully as well. Do check it out, Radical Changes. There'll be a link up here somewhere, and obviously in the description below. And as always, guys, thank you for your support.
Of course, it sounds like you're doing some wonderful work there, guys. So everybody else, go and visit them and give them some love. Thank you.
Right, where were we?
Where were we? Oh, yes. So we were shifting perspective, and we've had a little montage of Phil's version of the last few, goodness knows how long. It may be dozens, it may be 100 iterations.
Yes, that's nice. Because I also like that because we can still keep my moment in there if we want. Because obviously all we've done is shift the focus to Phil. We still haven't had a moment where Phil and Patrick have realised each other.
Oh, right, yes.
So we could do something like that. As I said, they just happen to be, I don't know, again, there's lots of coffee shops in that place, isn't there? Or in a bar, and they happen to go to the bar at the same time. It's been a difficult rotation for them. And again, as I said, the barman goes, oh, no, just kind of looks at them, and as he's getting a drink or whatever, just something like, it's alright, tomorrow's another day. And then they both give the same response. And then suddenly there's that double take, and then they look at each other.
I like it. I want to save it just a little bit later.
Cool.
I'd like to see things from Phil's point of view and have Phil discover the old man being murdered.
In the same way that we talked about. Oh, yes.
So that he's realising there's something. This isn't just him dying. Mm-hmm. He's died a bunch of times before, but no, he's been stabbed. He's dead. Somebody's murdered him. And suddenly Phil knows there's something wrong in the town.
You know what it is then, don't you? One of the rotations, Patrick kills him a different way. So when Phil hears that the old man died, he didn't die the same way that he did every other time that he's died.
Yeah, I mean, to be honest, him discovering the old man being murdered is enough for Phil to know that there's something wrong. Mm. But I just want to have maybe 1 or 2 rotations with Phil.
Just trying to suss something out.
Not just noticing the old man, but noticing other bodies around town turning up that day, and he didn't realise. And then, after 5 minutes or so of this happening, then we have that scene when they're in the bar.
Yeah.
And they both have the same face, and they're just, and it's not even a direct contact, it'd be like a direct gaze over the bar mirror gaze.
Yeah, I know.
Look at each other in the mirror.
That's nice. Yes, the whole reflections thing. Oh yeah, another layer. Lovely. Like it. Where do we go from here then? See, now, I suppose the thing here is then, if we look at how do you think Patrick feels about all of this? We know how Phil feels, but having gone through this all this time, is he still enjoying himself?
I imagine it's nothing but an endless ball of frustration and rage for him.
But he does get to live out his fantasy.
He does get to live out his fantasy, but he's still stuck in this nowhere hick town a million miles away from New York, and he can never get away.
But again, as I'm saying, but the trade-off there is, but I can kill all of these people.
Yeah, but they'll still be here tomorrow.
So he gets to kill them again? I suppose, yeah, there has to be a point where he...
There's a certain point when it has to become Patrick's hell. Mm-hmm. I mean, in the same way that it becomes Phil's hell.
Yeah, that's true.
You know, it doesn't matter how many times I've killed them 1,000 different ways, 1,000 times, and every morning I wake up and they're still there. It's, oh yeah, I get to kill them. None of it means anything. Yeah. It doesn't matter. Yes, we should introduce a bit of an obsession with consequence for Patrick.
That's what we meant. Yes, we did say that, didn't we?
Because then when he has the obsession with consequence and he experiences consequence, there's the irony of he gets what he wants, but it's not what he expected.
Yes. So from this point, are they going to sit down and have a talk or not? They've clocked each other.
Part of me instinctively says no, they should avoid each other because they recognise the danger they are to each other, as it were. But on the other hand, for the story to have catharsis or any real meaning, we have to have an actual confrontation between the two opposing forces, don't we? Okay, and a conversation, like you said. I think you're right. I think we do need to have a conversation. Mm-hmm. Just how do we arrange that?
Because I was going to say, if we were going to avoid it, the obvious thing would be Patrick would take his drink, knock it down, and just say, "I'm sorry, I've got to go and return some videotapes," and leave. But then follow Phil.
It's a possibility.
Sorry, I'm stretching a bit here, but...
Well, what do you think? Do you think there should be a direct meeting of the two?
Yes. No, I think we should. I think they do need to, not exactly compare notes. But, I mean, I suppose it'd be almost instinctive, because this is the only other person that they found who isn't stuck in this... Or the only other person they found who is stuck in this loop. I think it would be cheating the audience if we didn't.
Okay, so we need to do that.
Yeah, and now seems the perfect time.
Yeah. If we don't do it now, we would have to twist the plot and contrive it.
Yes.
Which seems silly. We've got this opening. Let's take it.
This ties in then with what you were saying earlier, because they sit down, they start having this conversation. Oh, there you are, Phil. Rita turns up. You wanted that moment where Rita...
does something or says something.
To Patrick, yeah. He tries to get dismissive of her because... this is an important thing for him. And as you say, she then holds the mirror up to him, essentially. Okay,
so this meeting is happening in the bar of the Philadelphia, hotel?
Yeah, yes, that makes sense.
Is it the Philadelphia or is it the Puxatawny? They meet in the middle.
Actually, it might be the Pennsylvania. It's one of the two. It's one of the two.
Yeah.
It's one of the two.
So we'll have it there, because that's where all those meetings happen with...
yes, with Rita and
with Phil and Phil and all those things.
Cool. So yeah, so they sit down, they start having this chat. She comes up because she's been looking for Phil.
Yep.
Patrick gets dismissive of her. She throws it back at him.
Absolutely.
Again, that's our third act turn.
That's
because that's...
yeah.
Death Laser eyes.
Well, yeah. I mean, Death Laser. Yeah, it's our third out turn. In that, we should probably almost jump cut to Rita's body being found. We don't necessarily have to do the entire run through, but just we have that bit with the confrontation, and they have the laser exchange of eyes, and the scene ends, and it jump cuts, and it's just the cops pulling Rita's body out of the river or something like that.
That works.
And Phil's just standing there, and he's like, just putting it together in his head, and the cogs turning, and that feels like that's
the end of the third act.
Yeah.
Well, the end of the second act, sorry.
Yeah, that feels like it.
Okay, Act 3. I don't even know if I even need my book anymore.
I think we're beyond the rails at this point.
Yes. So, they've had this meeting, Phil and obviously Rita have gone on, something's happened, and she wakes up dead, and then we start, the next rotation?
Yes.
Have we switched focus now with Phil for the rest of the film now?
I feel that way. Do you agree? I mean, obviously we'll cut away to Patrick.
Yes.
But we don't need to do that too much, because my take on it is that Phil is going to suddenly be focused on learning all about Patrick's day.
Yes, that makes sense.
So, there might be a quick sort of couple of montages of Rita just turning up dead in various ways until he finally goes, no, it's you. Mm-hmm. And then he needs to figure out who he is, where he's come from, and basically guard Rita for the day, which gives us the spend the day with him thing.
Yes.
Which works the first time, but then happens again.
Mm-hmm.
So what we're eventually, there's a long montage of him on his self-improvement kick. So I'm thinking that we're doing something very similar to that, but mixed in with him doing these good deeds and things. Mm-hmm. He always knows where Rita is, and he's always there
when Patrick's around.
When Patrick might turn up.
That's fine. I think the only thing we need to, that might throw a bit of a fly into the ointment with this, is obviously going to be, what's Patrick doing? Because he's aware as well.
Well, actually, no. This is the point where I have to ask a serious question. What kind of an ending are we looking for? Now, I know we were talking about whether Patrick was on a redemption arc or not, but I'm talking about the actual ending of the movie. Is it going to be bittersweet, or is it going to be a happy ending?
It's a difficult one.
If you're going for a bittersweet ending, what might happen is that Phil is ultimately able to catch Patrick in the act, but at the very least he will have killed several people, and he may have killed Rita. Or there's a version of the story where Phil is just so good and it goes on for so long that he's able to have the perfect day that he has at the end of Groundhog Day and catch Patrick in the act of trying to rage kill someone else.
Yes. I suppose a third ending which kind of allows us to have our cake and eat it is, as you say, Phil manages to have the perfect day and is out of the loop, but Patrick isn't.
Oh.
Phil's learned his lesson, Patrick obviously hasn't, so he gets stuck there and they get to move on with their lives.
So Rita lives.
So they both live, they get to go on with their lives.
That's even better. That's the super happy ending. Mm-hmm. Not only does Phil get out, but Patrick is stuck there forever.
Yeah.
In his own folly.
Until he somehow learns whatever the lesson is that he's there to learn.
Cue the endless scream.
Yes. Yeah, absolutely.
Actually, now you suggest that, I'm rather keen on that one. Have a star.
Yay! Phew!
I did say to you a moment ago, this could be rather simple or it could be quite complicated.
So I think our ending then is simple. It's just how we get to
there.
The ending.
Yeah, it's how we get to the ending.
And as I said, the big fly in the ointment is Patrick, because no doubt by this point at the same time he's wondering about Phil. So he's going to do everything that he can to try and stop him having this perfect day. We can leave it ambiguous as to whether or not he knows that's what has to happen. He probably doesn't. He wants to get Phil, and so it could be again in this version that the perfect day isn't the perfect day as it is in Groundhog Day. It's just the day he manages to get her out alive.
It could be that. It could be that simple.
And it could be that they have this horrible day where they're being constantly pursued and chased by Patrick. But it should be something at the end, like again a throwaway comment by Rita. Yes, but I was here with you, where she's finally come round or whatever, something like that.
Ooh, yes, no. Well, no, I was commenting about her judgmental nature.
Yes, of course. Yeah.
And having it be, he changed her mind.
I'm just gonna
take it. Yeah!
Phew!
Depth, baby!
Oh,
yes!
Fantastic. That's why I love doing the show, because again, it's just literally...
Oh, yeah, and there it goes.
Fantastic. So, Do we need to go into the specifics of the day?
Well, I'll tell you what I'm imagining, and we'll just
See what's
So I'm imagining a bit of a 2 and 4. There may even be like I said, it's this extended montage of him having self-improvement and stuff. Obviously, the self-improvement is being better at protecting Rita. So I even imagine there may be a couple of iterations where Patrick gets Phil, and then he wakes up the next day and, oh, damn it, right, okay, can't be there.
Yeah, so you will probably then get a day where he goes...
So we get some days from Phil's perspective and some days from Patrick's perspective?
Yeah, so we get a day where Phil goes in and buys like a stab vest and stuff.
Yeah.
And he's just walking around like this.
I know you're behind that tree!
And then so Patrick's like, I don't know, runs him down or something.
Yeah.
Because again, we have to remember, that's the one thing that we didn't specify. Well,
at this point, we complain to the black humour of everything.
I was going to say, that's the one thing we didn't specify at the start. Is it definitely still a comedy or not?
Well, it should.
But
it should be. It should do. But a very black comedy.
Yeah.
So there'll be days when Patrick gets away with it, some days when he doesn't. But it's progression towards that, which is just going to lead us to the ultimate day. Mm-hmm. Because we're leaving Patrick in the loop. It doesn't matter whether we catch Patrick in the act or not, does it?
It doesn't. As we get to the proper climax, these last couple of rotations, it's almost like you're flicking backwards and forwards. Who gets out of bed quick enough? Who gets to Rita quick enough? Where have they gone? And it's just this cat and mouse.
Yes.
All the way through.
That's what I'm imagining.
Yeah, that's fantastic. Until this one iteration where he does something, we may not even see what it is, something slightly different. And as you say, he changes her mind.
Yeah.
Hid out in a cave somewhere or something, like an old shack in the middle of a field with nothing around for miles around, so that they can see all the sight lines in case unless he's going to do an airstrike or something, they're going to see him coming from a mile away, and then they wake up there the next day. And then when they go back to the town, there's no sign of Patrick. They get back to town, they see this limo pull up, and they see Evelyn and the other two get in. But there's no Patrick, and they see them drive off. Yeah,
they're talking about, has anybody seen Patrick? I don't know. I don't know where he went last night.
As they're getting in the car again. Sorry, just because I love it. So you said something about returning videotapes.
Yes.
As they get in the car.
Oh yeah, I think you already left. Well, you said something about videotapes.
And they drive off, and Rita and Phil can live happily ever after.
Hip hip hooray, skip off into the sunset, as it were. Oh, that was brief.
Third act, sometimes.
Yeah,
fantastic. Okay, so we're going to just take 2 seconds, gather our thoughts, and then we will be back with our verdict. I think it's going to be me first because I'm on 3. It was a difficult one, I must admit. As I said, first one back for the year. I floundered a bit with ideas before the fact, shall we say.
Yeah, no, me too, completely.
But I like it. I do like it. Again, I know it's a collaborative thing, but as I said, you're on fire today, buddy. You had loads of really good ideas.
Well, thank you. I have no idea where they came from.
I think some of those hadn't come out earlier, so certainly like in Act 2, would have died a death in Act 2.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, I think you're right.
As a first draft, it has legs. I think it really does. I think with a bit of polish and things like that, and again, I just love like some of the interesting kind of cinematography you were suggesting as well.
Yeah.
And things like that. And again, it does build to a good, thrilling climax as well.
I think so, yeah.
That takes into account the whole paradox loop. It uses it in an interesting way, other than the normal, slightly boring ways that it's used.
Yeah, exactly. It would do something a little bit different with it.
Yeah, by giving it that competitive edge.
Yeah,
it just means you can play around with it a lot more. And
perspective, shift perspectives to things. Yeah.
So yes, for me, I would say yes. Groundhog Psycho is a maybe movie.
Perhaps unsurprisingly, as you may have noticed there, I pretty much agree with you. Frightening as it was coming into this, I think we've done a pretty good job.
Yes,
as absolutely. You said, pretty nice first draft, a good solid first draft. Bit of spit and polish, it'll be something worth watching.
Yes, definitely. So for us, Groundhog Psycho is a potential maybe movie, but obviously it's all now down to you guys and what you think. So have a look over what we've made here. If you need to, go back and watch the pitch meeting as well, if there's anything that you might need to have a look back over. Because we're now doing this as just a one-off thing for this, I'm just going to run the poll for 24 hours. So that will go up now at the same time as the episode has gone out, and will be running for 24 hours on our community tab, on our Instagram, and on Twitter as well. So get on any of those, cast your votes, and then at the pitch meeting for March, we will announce whether or not we have a winner.
Indeed. So let us know all about it, folks.
As always, though, again, do come back and check out over the next couple of weeks. There will be stuff out on the channel. Normally Fridays, they seem to be our best posting days, or make it even easier, hit the bell notification to be kept apprised of new content, as
It
they say.
always helps, yes.
Until then, though, from us here in Delirium, we will see you in March. Have a great rest of the month, and take care.
As always, guys, TTFN.
What do we do now? Is this where we fall asleep?
Oh.
I haven't finished my beer yet.
Ba 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 ba.